From the co-creator of Welcome to Night Vale comes a sequel series to the hit podcast and the New York Times best-selling novel, Alice Isn't Dead, called Don't Tell Alice. Keisha is back out on the strange highways and back roads of America on a brand new adventure involving parallel worlds and a family tragedy that might result in the end of all life on Earth. But whatever you do, don't tell Alice. Starring Jessica Nicole of Fringe and The Good Doctor, and with a full score and sound design by Night Vale's Disparition. Available on the Alice Isn't Dead feed wherever you get your podcasts, and ad-free and a week early on Patreon. And welcome to Scare You to Sleep. I'm your host, Shelby Novak, and I'm here to read you a bedtime story. Just a heads up, this week has a few more trigger warnings than normal, so please check out those warnings in the show notes if you don't mind spoilers. Tonight's episode is once again sponsored by Dickinson Publishing Group, and it features a story from author Alex Grass's upcoming short story compilation, Infernal Tramps, Tales of Weird Terror. Remember, you can pre-order your copy now. There's a link in the show notes. You can find more information at infernaltramps.com. The book is available on July 15th, but if you order from July 16th through July 20th, it will be free to download on Amazon. Tonight's tale is called Ever Shall They Feed. It was a simple if somewhat risky plan. Benno would wait for his father Alvise to break from work and go upstairs for his nightcap and a few menthol cigarettes. During Alvise's stirrup cup smoko, Benno would sneak into the cold room and hide under a sheet on the autopsy slab, lying in wait for his father's return. You may be wondering why. Alvise, exercising a habit of masquerading his casual cruelty as good fun, gave a script purportedly written by Benno to the student who daily read the morning announcements over the PA system at his son's high school. He gave the same morning announcer $40 in cash to ensure that the poem be read. Benno's confession was recited over the PA system at a time when the whole high school's audience was all but guaranteed. You know me as Benno, your Confederate confrere. I disclose you my secret of which you may not be aware. To each their arrayed fetishes, all ranked first to last, and my own favorite fixation, ogling Mrs. Gouliash's ass. Mrs. Gouliash, the school librarian, was a scoliotic geriatric best known for being shorter than all the students and having night terrors in the middle of the day. Rather more mean than clever, but there it was. A bit more color. While the Gouliashes still lived in Bratislava, Mr. Gouliash, a university professor at Comenius University, ran afoul of the STB, the Czechoslovakian secret police, for the unpardonable crime of reading a passage from the King James Bible to his undergraduate students. Mr. Gouliash was hence found guilty of subversion of the Republic and sent to Leopoldov State Prison, where he died either having been beaten by the guards or starved to death by the guards or otherwise drowning in the unanswerable murk of the police state. Mrs. Gouliash, notwithstanding her treasonous defection, and the political asylum granted to her by the Emmerich di Brucci, or American Bugs, after her husband's dispatch, had long since suffered an unbroken run of rotten luck. After exile from her homeland, she miscarried with her vanished husband's unborn child. Then there was the retributive campaign against her family by the Communist Party following her defection, inclusive of her father's ejection from the party, precipitating his fatal heart failure, her mother's consequent Takotsubo's cardiomyopathy soon thereafter, as well as the 2 resultant funerals she was unable to attend. The apparatchiks even went as far as liquidating the Chesky Terrier breeding operation of her second cousin once removed. This is all to point that Mrs. Gulyash's lifetime of injury could have done without the added insult of Alvise's lurid verse. Not that Alvise had any way of knowing all that, if we're being fair. At any rate, the idea of Benno slobbering over Mrs. Gulyash's hindquarters was judged a real knee-slapper by just about the whole student body. The faculty, too. Excepting Mrs. Gulyash, of course. Enough was enough. This time, the old man was asking for it. It was 8:30 p.m. and Benno was laid up on the slab, covered with a mortuary sheet. And though the cold room was brisk, warmth bloomed in his heart at the thought of his father's comeuppance, the look of fright he imagined he'd see on the old man's face. For the moment, that was enough to keep his teeth from chattering. After a short wait, Benno heard the swish and shuffle of his father's loafers move across the floor. He fought the urge to turn and look. Later, he could peek through the accidental eyelet torn through the sheet. When he needed to. When the time was right. Alvise's footfalls fell nearer the embalming instruments and dissecting tray. Benno thought he might die from anticipation. What a thought. Seen through Benno's improvised peephole, his father was backlit by the bright white examination lamp, distinguishable only as a shadow fringed in light. Benno readied himself, and, not having picked his moment so much as his moment having picked him, he got ready to jump scare the old man from under the sheet. But before he could, the unexpected, beady ratchet of a yanked pull chain stalled him out. And at seeing his father's figure better revealed by the chain's attached light, Benno could at last feel the bitter briskness of the cold room. Benno didn't understand what he was looking at. Why would his father be naked? But obviously, there he was, stood between the 2 autopsy tables in his age-spotted birthday suit and still in his penny loafers. Benno did not know what his father was doing. He also did not know what he himself should do now. Funny how just one thing sends the whole world topsy-turvy. Or maybe it was not funny at all. Suppose it must be a matter of perspective. Alvise picked the scalpel up off the dissecting tray. He pulled the sheet off of Mrs. Bernuzzi's corpse. By all accounts, the living Bernuzzi had a reputation, the intimate details of which, of course, would soon be forthcoming. What he hadn't already heard from other corpses' hearsay, he'd extract from Bernuzzi's soon enough. Once he'd done feeding Mother Ghoul. She who, upon being fed him in return. Suckling her teat, he'd drink up the secrets her tongue had read from the lifeless flesh. In death, the human body spoke, if one but learned to listen. Alvise examined Mrs. Bernuzzi's nude cadaver and was satisfied with his work. The flaying methodical, the slices deft and precise, incised as if by the hands of a surgeon, leaving neither contractures nor adhesions. He sliced into Carolina Bernuzzi's thigh with his scalpel, taking up where he'd left off, pulling away a pearly strip glistening with fascia. He shuddered, feeling the satisfaction of competency, the higher purpose that only the true craftsman can feel. Benno thought maybe someone was forcing his father to do what he was doing. There were such analogues, he reasoned, in both fact and fiction. men co-opted into political assassination under the threat of execution, women who married scoundrels to pay off parents' debts. There were, in fact, whole storybooks full of deeds done under duress. Maybe there was a shadowy cabal instigating this mutilative freakery, or even some singular bad actor, a renegade lunatic forcing his father for some reason to desecrate this woman's corpse, because the alternative was unacceptable. The notion that Alvise had himself chosen, of his own free will, to strip off his clothes and further to strip the flesh off a dead woman, was laden with a psychological freight too damaging for Benno to carry himself. And why was the old man still wearing his loafers? 1,000 troubling thoughts bombarded Benno in his foxhole. He squeezed the whole of himself shut against their intrusion. He stopped up his airway and bore down on his gut and shut up his eyes, as if his father's perversions threatened to invade not only Benno's mind, but his body. But the more tightly he tried to rein in his intrusive thoughts, the more wildly they ran riot. Benno envisioned sex games and necrophilia, cannibalism and human sacrifice, violently enacted heathen black rites, a slew of frightening sacrileges. His mind was broken by his father's sins, whether real or imagined, and by Benno's fears, untamable creatures unto themselves. At a point, he understood he couldn't hold his breath much longer than he had. So he let air in his lungs and his bodily tension loose, and when he did, the deathly clinic wrapped him in its frigid silence, and Benno, breathing in the cold quiet, soon realized his father was no longer in the room. Alvise continued down stone stairs and through underground corridors, carrying meat packageable by the pound. The walls perspired, sog sweating the deep damp of the earth from their mineral pores. She waited in the dungeon's utmost tenebrosity. Tallow candles melted into puddles of wax, smelled of rancid beef and butter, pooling around the morbidity of her morbid obesity, the creature herself looking somewhat to have melted. Flames danced over her tumorous growths that were like dripping lumps of lard, her skin sallow and sweat slickened under the light. She was a heap of saddle-bagged adipose. Mother Ghoul and the melted tallow looked like they might blend. Rats scurried around her in a frenzy, fur patchy and balding from mange, flea-bitten ears budded with lesions, dried blood barnacled all over their tails, their bodies swollen and fat, 2, maybe 3 times fatter and longer than wharf rats. Hearing Alvise enter the room, they shrieked and capered across Mother Ghoul's humps. Whether in excitement or fear, Alvise could never tell. Benno's Adam's apple bobbed in the dry catch of his throat. His lips trembled. What was this place hidden behind and below the family funeral home walls? His cell phone flashlight lit up the stone passage, moist with lichenous exudate. It was like walking through an ecological chest cold, primitive symbols chiseled into the walls, eroded by damp and time. The ceiling raftered with speleothems, a canker-sored mineral mouth. A frieze depicted scenes of man-sized rats feasting on flesh, of rat-like humans doing the same. A liquid orange light glowed up ahead in the dark, and he quickly shut off the screen on his phone. A reeking, fatty smoke smacked him on the nose. He heard vermin shrill and skitter, premonition darkly working itself inside him, throbbing all the way deep down in his bones. At that, Benno confronted the paradox of his disposition. He knew he would not stop himself from seeing what he did not want to see.
I want living flesh next time,
Mother Ghoul said. Abscesses punctured her jowls, oozing an organic black tar through her perforated skin. The holes in her face were wide enough to show microbial cultures cultivating themselves on her 2 sharp teeth. Her eyes looked strange under the dizzy flicker of the flames, blighted the black and yellow of a bruised and rotten lemon. I know, Mother, Alvise said.
And the children are hungry for living flesh, too.
Yes, I know. I am doing what I can. Mother Ghoul harumphed. May I feed you? He asked. She might have kept carping, but as it was, she was starved. Alvise dangled Bernuzzi's meat over Mother Ghoul's maw. She chuffed and snouted at the fresh-cut flesh, waggling her greedy tongue. She looked like a killer whale nipping herring from a trainer's hand. A rat resembling a Scottish terrier in shape and size leapt for the dangling meat. Alvise threw an elbow into its mutant jaw. The dog rat scuttered while flying through the air. Maybe it meant to hit the ground running. Instead, it cracked the back of its skull against the sharp edge of a stone. The vicious hit hardly drew Mother's notice. I am mindful of your hunger. I have not forgotten your hunger, and I am, and as always, eager to satisfy it, Alvise said.
Yes, so long as you're a beneficiary. You rent seeker, you forget, Alvise, my longevity. When you're rotting in your bed of worms, perhaps I'll savor your son in a stew. Mind that you treat me well.
These threats, all old hat. I only urge caution, Mother, only caution. Alvise dipped a strip of cadaver down into her mouth. The world is changing. Feeding isn't so simple as it was. It's a world of eyes now. Eyes everywhere and in everything. An electric society of peeping toms. There is a permanent audience of interlopers watching always. We must guard ourselves against them. She slurped the meat onto her tongue to gnash between her needled teeth. Phlegm percolated her sinuses, bubbled as she chewed. Alvise didn't understand how her lips could smack so loudly.
Flesh. I want living flesh.
Gobbets of gray meat spat out as she spoke. These had been trying years, these last. Spent skirting the exposure of Digitalia's creeping kingdom. How could Alvise keep pace with Mother Ghoul's hunger, intensifying as it did with every feeding? How could they keep hiding in this day and age? And then the rats. Yes, the rats. Growing larger, ever larger, killing each other and eating themselves, now more often than not refusing the whole barrels of rendered meat Alvise brought to feed them. They'd grown hungrier than their gruesome matron for the pulsating flavor of living things. And the scarcity of human flesh, and the hunger that scarcity could not fill, meant Mother Ghoul often would not, sometimes even could not, share her visions with him, no matter how desperate Alvise was for a fix of her peculiar narcotic. But it was something that he had to have. Nothing titillated like the secrets of the crypt, reliving the hidden shame that outlasted the bodies of the dead. That scopophilic pleasure was only Mother Ghoul's to give. She'd finished her last morsel. A sigh preceded a series of pungent eructations.
I suppose you'll want your fill now, too.
Alvise's body yearned for Mother's milk. He drew in toward her, a brittle vine crawling over a bleak house toward the black sun. Always such burning shame in his longing, always. Yes, he quietly said. Mother Ghoul sinisterly smiled. Benno was rooted to the dirt floor of the catacomb. Legs somehow syrupy and heavy as lead all at once. Fingers tingled numb and insensibly gripping the rocky edge, ringing the chamber's secret entry. He kept his body behind the rock's formations, but his eyes hidden in plain sight. He did not understand what he was watching, or was perhaps unable to understand given the perversity such as comprehension required, though his brain interpreted the visual data clearly, cataloging in detail every foul act. A hugely fat woman, a mountain of gristly drippings atop a sloppy mound of meat. Her fissured face wept a foul-smelling resin, teeth like rust-smeared awls peeking through unanatomical holes. Her eyes were grimy yellow-black. The stink invaded Benno so deeply that the stench curled around his ears before being sucked inside his skull. Benno watched her ugly fingers lift up her gut, his living parent supine on the floor, sinking into mud, naked as the day he was born, but for his penny loafers. The old man's eyes were glassy orbs filled with liquid fire, two pools ignited while spilling over with fuel. Alvise stared up at the spiny dark. And then, from the stink of her greasy marsupium, there emerged a protuberance, a wretched limb. It looked like a forearm with an elbow where there was supposed to be a hand, a nipple enclosing the elbow. It dribbled something bituminous, black-tinged midnight green, liquid spikes rippling above the surface, like a dripping roll of razor wire unbundling itself. Then, horribly, oh so horribly, the malformed limb lowered so the nipple extended over Alvise's mouth. His lips puckered and his tongue folded into a papillary envelope, lapping at the air as the nipple descended down between his teeth and... Alvise suckled Bernuzzi's chronicle of closet-kept secrets from Mother's freakish tit, and soon Alvise was so light, so light that he felt himself floating off somewhere as a driven leaf, almost weightless on the wind. Alvise became the unliving Bernuzzi, wallowing inside her ghost in fragments of her past. Alvise was Bernuzzi, snorting cocaine in a dingy bathroom while disco pounded outside the toilet stall door. He was Bernuzzi, swilling bottom-shelf gin before passing out on the bathroom floor. Bernuzzi, stamping scarlet letters on tramps who traipsed up the corporate ladder in increments of spread legs. Alvise was Bernuzzi, using a wooden spoon to beat her mentally disabled son for not turning down the TV, spiking her whorish niece's coffee with levonorgestrel to flush out her bastard baby, kicking her ex-husband's dog with her high heel spike, poisoning the mutt 3 weeks later, habitually spitting in patrons' side salads and soups, drunkenly wheeling into a child pedestrian in a witnessless hit and run. Oh, what tender, sweet sins had blossomed from this awful woman. Of course, Alvise had a feeling. His sense of depravity was keenly developed from experience in the field. And then, when he'd drank his fill, he lay completely still on the floor between Mother Ghoul's feet, struggling to remain a ghost in Bernuzzi's terrible memories, which to him were like shameful dreams of ecstasy. He did not want to let go. Benno ran. Oh, how quickly Benno ran. Benno had never before noticed how low the lamp hung over the kitchen table, how feeble the light glowed beneath the pendant stained glass shade, how its sparse luminance extinguished itself before the dusty table's edge. Never before had he noticed the accumulations of grot and gunge, or seen neglection's texture wearing down the wood grain, the spalting like veins overcome with decay. Had he really never noticed? Truly never seen? This wasn't a kitchen, it was an incubator of filth, a monument to dilapidation. One light bulb had been there the better part of 3 years. He recognized the smoky stain of the blown filament on the glass bulb, burnt in the shape of a comic book speech bubble. His dead mother's nicked and notched porcelain plates glowered at him with blank faces, frowning chipped teeth, as hungry as they were dumb. Benno supposed that he could say that about many things. Perhaps it was better that his mother was dead. Had Benno's mother known? Was Alvise's perversion begun before her final season? Had she known? How could she not have? Was his mother the mother of his gauzy memory, model of goodwill and cheer, exemplar of physical hygiene and spiritual cleanliness? Or was she an agent of dereliction, part of this sickness and slime? What was her part in their home's dissolution? "You're not eating," Alvise said to Benno. "Oatmeal's no good?" "Huh?" Benno looked up, having only half heard what his father said. "I said, is the oatmeal no good?" Benno shook his head. No, it's fine. I'm just thinking about a project for school." Benno regretted breathing this place's foul funk. Need some time to look it over before class. He checked his watch despite knowing the time. "You'd better get going then, huh?" Alvise said. Benno looked up at his father. Milk dripped over Alvise's lower lip and down his chin. Was the dribble midnight green? A dying light bulb guttered, barely surviving the blink, then shone hotly bright, its evaporating filament about to arc and explode, but it didn't. Benno saw the milk run from his father's mouth was an uncorrupted white. But without a steady light always shining, how could Benno really know? "Benno," his father said. Benno didn't want to speak anymore, not to his father, not to anyone, maybe not for a long time. There was a rage he'd never known was sleeping deep down in his soul, now awoken by his doubts. Fury seized him, choked him, blurred the world around him. He'd break the goddamn rotten table and smash the broken light bulbs. He would... "Benno," his father said. "Yeah?" "I'm so sorry." Alvise stirred his cereal. He managed to look Benno in the eyes before diverting back to his spoon. "About the morning announcements. I went too far." "You went too far." Benno repeated what his father said. He could feel the words shapes and sounds, but they bore no communicative properties. Benno understood the human tongue as an instrument of meaninglessness, of noise, of nothing more. The world was not what it was. Yes, I did. Alvise set his spoon down by his bowl, milk pooling around the head of the spoon. Benno wondered if the milk would turn to spoil on the table, or if the already spoiled table would contaminate the milk. Where did the rot begin, and where did it end? Did it ever end at all? I thought you would think it was funny, Alvise said, but now I realize it was childish and hurtful. He pleached his fingers and attempted paternal warmth. Do you forgive me? Benno looked at his watch again. He didn't look back up. Sure. Good. Alvise's eyes flicked back and forth between the table and the boy. Then I guess have a good day. Have a good day. Benno picked up his bag to leave for school. On his way out, he saw his father's loafers set outside beside the door. He nearly grasped something he'd surely long since known. His father had always sat barefooted at the kitchen table. Benno decided that rhyme and reason in footwear or otherwise were features of a former life. Mother Ghoul wondered if Alvise knew his son had seen them. There was no longer any pressing need for Alvise to bring her anything but dead flesh. As matters now stood, they could no longer stand. She needed the meat, hot, still pulsating, livid with pain and sensation. That was what she wanted. No, deserved. To eat. Once there were such unholy days of glory. She could sift the grains of every forepast life with oracular precision, but she was not, in fact, an oracle, could only see the secrets still hidden in the past. No, she could not divine those events still to come, and who knew what the unknown future might bring. Perhaps the boy would deliver where Alvise came up short. One day, perhaps. In any event, all things in their own good time, even those things that crawl in the dark. Every mother's son was extended an open invitation, and maybe every mother's son would one day come home. One of the mammoth rats bit her swollen ankle. She smiled and let it eat. It was only natural for hungry children to feed. Arriving at school, Benno saw Mrs. Gouliache walking in from the teacher's lot. While hobbling across the zebra stripe and onto the school sidewalk, she spotted him too. Mrs. Gouliache waved to Benno, and Benno waved back. People weren't who other people thought they were. Nobody was. Thanks for listening, and thank you once again to Dickinson Publishing Group and to author Alex Grass for sponsoring this episode. Remember, you can find Infernal Tramps available on July 15th, but you can pre-order now at infernaltramps.com. And if you order from July 16th to July 20th, the book will be free to download off of Amazon. You can find ad-free episodes of this show on patreon.com/scareyoutosleep. You can submit your own stories to be considered for the show to scareyoutosleep@gmail.com. You can follow the show on social media at scareyoutosleep on all the socials. And you can follow me personally at Shelby B. Novak on Instagram. And if you will be at Creep IECon next weekend, July 10th through 12th, then please come by the Bloody Disgusting booth to say hello. I would love to chat, and I'm also doing a few panels, so check those out as well. If you'd like more of me in a more casual setting, you can find me on the Bloody Disgusting podcast every Wednesday and the Lady Killers podcast every Thursday. And I hope all of you have a very safe weekend for those of you who may be celebrating the holiday or just celebrating the weekend. Please stay safe, stay hydrated, and, don't blow off any of your fingers. Go get some sleep. Sweet dreams.
Southern California. Are you ready for the ultimate horror and pop culture takeover? Creep, i.e. Aftermath, invades the Ontario Convention Center July 10th through the 12th with over 40 celebrity guests. Meet Brad Dourif, the legendary voice of Chucky, plus epic cast reunions from the Addams Family, Scary Movie, and Back to the Future. See Jamie Campbell Bower, Vecna himself from Stranger Things, and so much more. Experience over 200,000 square feet of spooky shenanigans, vendors, cosplay, panels, photo ops, haunts, and unforgettable scares. Get your tickets now before prices rise at creepiecon.com.